Sometimes I lay under the moon. I thank God I'm breathing. And I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason.
Were you raised as a devout Jew, or were your parents more secular?
I was raised a Reconstructionist, which is sort of more secular, I guess. Initially, I was not that interested in it. Basically, I grew up in going to public school and just like pretty much a normal suburban kid. Judaism was something that as my parents got older, they decided they wanted to make it more of a part of our lives. So they started lighting candles on Friday nights. Sometimes we would go to shul on Saturday. I started going to Hebrew school after school a couple days a week. I never really felt anything strong about being Jewish until, like most Jews, I maybe went to the Holocaust Museum and started to find out about the persecution of the Jewish people, or till I went to Israel when I was 16 and felt somehow a certain kind of different perspective on what being Jewish is. When I would go and see like Hasidim davening in a shul, there was something about it that felt very alive and very real to me and authentic. And then I started to get into music. I started to get into spirituality, and I kind of believed in God and started to read books and get into, I guess, the idea that there's a God. And as most teenagers are kind of struggling with identity and history, I started to try to figure out who am I in relation to everybody else.
We've been traveling from state to state, and I don't understand what they say. 3,000 years with no place to be.
Culture was kind of a big thing in my school. It was a very multi-ethnic school, and there was a lot of trying to figure out, well, who am I? Where do I come from? And I started listening to a lot of Bob Marley and a lot of connecting to that music, and then seeing a lot of the references, historical references to the Old Testament, and to try and think about what does that mean for me? Do I take on the roots and culture of another culture because it's cool or because I like their music, or do I kind of try to figure out what my history is about?
What religious group did you join specifically?
Well, initially I didn't really have a group. The first, I guess, religious sort of thing that really turned me on was a synagogue on the Upper West Side. So I started going there every Friday night, and I met different people. I started wearing a yarmulke and praying every day. Then later on I met a rabbi from Lubavitch, a young rabbi by NYU, and then I became very close with him, and I sort of got into Chabad, to Lubavitch, and I moved to Crown Heights. I went to yeshiva there for a couple of years, where I really took that next step of sort of divorcing myself totally from popular culture, and just studied Torah for about 2 years. And then on Simchas Torah, which is a holiday, I walked to Crown Heights from Upper West Side. Then the next morning I went to the shul there, and they were singing the nigunim, the songs from the Hasidic dynasty of Rebbes, and thousands of people kind of packed into this shul, and the songs, I felt something kind of come over me, and I felt okay, something kind of took me, I didn't have really a choice. I was being carried away by those songs, they speaking to me, and I felt I needed to pursue this. There was a reggae band called John Brown's Body, and anyway, I opened up for them. I opened up for another band in the village at a little bar, and I started to do little gigs kind of, where I would get permission basically from the rabbi to go out and do my music, and come back.
My word won't penetrate, Babylon burning in a blaze, can't see through the haze. Shut down all of them dirty ways.
Was it controversial? Did your rabbi have mixed feelings about you leaving the yeshiva to go out into the world and perform?
Yeah, you're not supposed to really do that. But he believed in me. You know, I told him that I felt this music was important for people, you know, spiritually speaking, and that it was not just, you know, about me, like getting the night off, you know, from yeshiva, but it was something that I was really thinking about for my future. And so he kind of went to bat for me. And then it just basically snowballed. It grew and got big very quickly.
But did you ever worry that, oh, well, everybody's looking at me now, giving me attention because I'm so different? Did you ever worry at that time, like, oh, I'm going to have a Weird Al Yankovic problem, you know, that people are into me only because, you know, I've got this enormous novelty?
It never crossed my mind that it was anything but the music that was, at the end of the day, going to connect with people. And so if my image in the moment was what was going to draw attention, it was only going to draw attention because the music could stand on its own. Don't think about what people say or what people think or how they look at me. You know, you have to shield yourselves to some degree from what everyone else thinks. And then pay attention to the people that you really respect and learn from those people.
With these demons around all around, bring me down to negativity, but I believe, yes, I believe, I said I believe.
Do you see yourself as an ambassador or even an evangelist for Judaism at all?
Let's say for young Jewish kids that are out there that are looking for, going through the same struggles or identity search or whatever that I was going through when I was a kid. I mean, I think a lot of them could connect with me and with my music. And that's not something that was really ever around before. Like when I was a kid, there was no one like that. A lot of my times I'm performing and people seeing me that don't know much about Judaism. So in some ways, I guess I'm kind of an ambassador in that sense. But I don't really look at myself like that, you know.